Hi, welcome to my channel. I'm here today with Tracey Campbell, who is a professional mum, I think I would call. I like to think that not only do I interview here people who do work professionally with people and individuals with disabilities, but also parents who've become experts in particular areas of interest. So that's what Tracey is, and she is here to talk to us today about PODD books. And if you haven't got a clue what PODD books are, neither did I, but we're going to learn all about them today. Hi, welcome Tracey. Thank you very much for joining me here. We're going to be talking about PODD books, and we'll go into exactly what they are in a little bit. But I'm really interested, first of all, to find out how you got involved with PODD books and how you became so knowledgeable about them.
Okay, well, my daughter got a PODD book from her speech and language therapist when she was at school. That was 5 years ago. So she carried the book around with her, but I didn't really know how to use it or anything about language or implementing a language. And then a year after that, so just past 4 years ago, I went to a conference and they had two experts, one from Australia, who's Mary Louise Bertram, and another professional mum, more professional than I am, Erin Sheldon from Canada, and they were talking about how you use aided language simulation or modelling, and you have to immerse your child in the language the same way that we do with any child, and just basically use the book whilst you're talking and point to the symbols. And it was so easy, and so once you found out that information, you thought, well, of course you have to do that. How can anyone learn anything if they're not shown how to do it? So it seemed so simple, but I realised at the same time that nobody else was getting that information. So other people were perhaps given devices and there was no support, whether it was time for the speech and language therapist, or the speech and language therapist didn't know much about it. But I realised that actually most parents were just left not able to know what to do with their communication, and I just thought that was so sad. And I was absolutely passionate about helping her, but also everyone else as well, because it's so important. It's such an important part of life to be able to communicate as fully as you can. So.
Absolutely. And so PODD books became a thing of choice, and
yes.
That has worked very well for you.
Yep.
So we ought to dive right in and let everybody watching know what a PODD book is.
Okay.
So is it an acronym? Does it stand for something?
Yes, it does. So it's pragmatic organisation dynamic display.
Oh, so trips off the tongue there.
That's why they're called
PODD, yes.
Yeah. So they're set up, I'll show you, this is a one-page opening book. So they're set up so that they kind of talk in the pragmatic. You can see it's set up with your pronouns there, and then maybe some verbs moving along to your nouns. So it's set up, it's a category-based system, and it's set up with the pragmatics of your talk so that you move along in the way that you talk. And also the dynamic display is that it's got predictably associated vocabulary with it, so all the pages are slightly different with words that are predictably associated with what you'll be talking about, so that you don't have to flick back and forward too much between them.
And this column down here,
So this column here that's a navigation column. Right. So this is typical of a single page book. So there's a massive range. It goes down to a 9 per page book, and it goes up to over 100 plus pages.
Right, okay.
Yeah, so it's a massive range to cover everyone's different communication needs. There's also ones that are colour coded access. There's ones that you can put a mirror in the middle so you can use it with eye gaze. There's loads and loads of different options for books. There's ones that are just simply auditory scanning, so for people that have no vision at all, so it'd just be a partner that would be reading those out. They don't have pictures. There's ones that have got one. There's a massive range of books that can be accessed by lots of different people.
So in your daughter's case, how is she physically using? How is she?
So
using
she's a direct access.
Okay,
user,
so she's
that's
pointing.
easier, so she just points to it.
Okay.
So this is the one she had first, which was a 20 per page. But now she's moved on. It's actually a bigger one than this. This is a one with a side, so you can see as soon as you open that how much more vocabulary is in it.
So you mentioned that she's using direct access. If you're working with somebody who maybe hasn't got the physical ability to do that pointing, what sort of other way? Can you do it with eye pointing and things like that?
Yeah, so you can do it. So there are specific setups that are directly for it. So you get one it's set up like this, but it's got like a hole in the middle.
Yeah.
So either you could put a mirror in it and you can be using so you and I could see it.
Yes.
Or actually it could have the hole in it.
Oh, and you
and
look
I
through
could
it.
see
okay.
what you're looking at, and it would have the bits on the back to see. So there's different ways that you could do it. Or the other more common one is partner assisted scanning. So where you would go down the column. It's set out slightly differently because the turn the page is over here on these books, because actually you don't want to have to go through all of these different columns to get to turn the page, particularly for when the person's more familiar with it, and then they can turn the page straight away without having to do all that. So you would just so there's different ways you can do it, but the most common way is you would point and you would just say, I do, me, my, you do it, your turn, or no. And then you would say yes or no.
Response.
Yes or no to that. If it's a yes, you would then go back to them individually, so there's different ways you can do it. Also,
the symbols, are they?
They're Boardmaker symbols.
They're Boardmaker symbols.
Yeah.
So it's got a connection to other more electronic versions of.
Yeah. So there's an electronic version as well. There's two. There's actually 4 page sets, but there's 2 main page sets. So this is the earlier one, which is a 15 plus setup.
Yeah.
And this is one my daughter uses, which is a 60.
Right.
Which looks it looks a lot when you do that, but she can navigate that.
Yeah.
And it's funny because now I don't think that's loads, but I know when you first look at it, you go, "Oh my goodness, I am."
And
never
she can
getting
physically
that.
touch that, and does
she
it
can
speak?
physically, yes.
So
you could say
feedback.
So you could say, "Hello."
Hello.
Okay.
So so you put in your message and then you press the big.
And do you need a special device for that, or does that go on
that's
an iPad?
That's just an iPad.
Okay.
So that's an iPad. That's an iPad Mini.
And can anybody get hold of? I mean, I know ideally you want to be going through a speech and language therapist for this kind of device, but
so you can buy to get the book. There's discs that you can buy, and there's a regular disc, which these are, and there is an alternative access disc available as well. And then, but you would need to have Boardmaker subscription, and you can buy that through Inclusive Technology actually, and it's just
So have you actually made those books up yourself?
I made those books myself, yeah.
Okay, gosh, right. So it's a DIY thing.
Yeah. So some people do have speech and language therapists or schools that make them, but I have physically made those books.
Okay.
Yeah.
What I can imagine there might be some instances, particularly with either a more profound physical impairment or a learning disability, that parents might be kind of steered in the direction of maybe just communication aids aren't going to happen.
Yeah, so I firmly believe that every person on this planet is a communicator and communicates at some level. I also firmly believe that we should not presume anything, and you should presume competence in everyone, and you should treat everyone as if they can learn language. So there are definitely a range of people. So Gail Porter, who made these up, was asked how long does it take someone to learn to use PODS, and she says anywhere between 15 minutes and 4 years. But if you think that communication is all about interaction and enhancing people's lives, absolutely anyone can do this, and they could work on this. So this, I would say, is more the future model, because the way speech and language therapy has been traditionally is that you kind of have to build up on skills. But you don't, if you think about a baby, you don't know if they're going to be a 9-month-old speaker or if they're not going to speak until they're 2 or 3. You just don't know. But you speak to them away anyway. So it's you would never know when somebody has reached that magical, oh, I've had enough receptive input now and now I want to start expressing it. So you don't know, so you could never pick a point, oh yes, that would be the right point for them to start that now.
Yes.
You just have to start it and hope that they can progress, and then once you're using it, you can obviously problem solve and access issues and things like that along the way. But it's all about the person. So if you were introducing it with your child, it's about you modelling and you getting to use it and you using it first. So there's absolutely no prerequisites on the child at all.
What strikes me is that I think what I see in my sort of peers is that a lot of children are being offered kind of choices between two images, and we're expecting them to recognise symbols like this.
Yes,
But it stops there.
Yes, it does.
You have a choice of two. Now, if they can understand what those symbols mean to be able to choose,
well,
why not give them the option to do more?
Yeah, that's true. The other thing about choice making, and if I said to you, what do you want to do today? And then I said, do you want to go to the gym or do you want to go to the supermarket? Are you going to choose any?
Yes.
You know, maybe you might want to do one of those, but
Yes.
the chances are maybe you had something different in your mind to do.
Yes.
So, because you've not chosen any of those, so I presume therefore that you don't know what I'm talking about, and you.
Yes.
So that's the problem with choices, is that they're very limited, and actually if somebody doesn't answer you a choice, you can't actually interpret anything from that, because they might have just thought, well, no, actually I don't want an apple or an orange, I would actually rather have that chocolate bar that I can see over there, thanks very much.
Yes.
You know, so you can't really interpret anything from choice making.
No.
So that's why choice making is an absolutely valid and method of communication, but it absolutely cannot be all of it.
And I love the fact that, because I suppose there's advantages and disadvantages to you having to have made this yourself. The advantage being you can totally personalise this.
Yes.
So you can think of the things that either you have access to. There's no point in putting a slide if there isn't one accessible, or they're not able to access a slide.
Yeah.
So you can personalise it.
Absolutely.
I suppose my concern is that this is not something that everybody could. I don't know. Someone might not have access to a laminator or feel confident enough to create something like this. So
Yes.
that concerns me slightly.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
It's harder for the people. So there is there's one of my friends, Jules, does actually make books up for people.
Okay.
So she would absolutely do that for you. There's not very many people out there that would do it for you.
Yes.
Ideally, obviously, if you had a speech and language at a school that was on board with you, and then they could help you make them as well.
Yeah. Is there any kind of support system in the UK or worldwide for people who are using PODD books?
Yeah, so there are now definitely 2, but I think there's another 2 coming very soon, possibly another 3 coming very soon. PODD trainers in the UK, so you can actually get access to PODD training. Generally it starts off with a 2-day, sometimes there's a 1-day, and you can go up to a 5-day course. There's Facebook groups. PODD Europe is a really good Facebook group. It's a really good community for people wanting to help you, actually. So you just go and go.
So I'll make sure that I put links to as many things as we can think of.
Yeah, okay.
Under the film, so anybody who's interested can go and try and find those. Absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much.
Okay,
It feels like a bit of a whistle-stop tour, but I think we've covered all the essentials, and hopefully it might inspire somebody to go and find out a little bit more.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks,
Okay.
Tracey.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.